unfortunately, that's what the media's become recently. Does that make sense?
How media's become what?
Like, able to influence people's decisions and change it just from their thoughts on the situation or person. Kind of, like, in a form, it's a bit of a way of indoctrination if you think about it. Wait, that did make sense, didn't it? Yeah.
No, it does. Do you think it's a belief system for a lot of people? Do you think that's what they believe?
I don't think it's what they believe, but I think it's what they're being tailored to believe from the media. They're tailoring them to believe something that they don't actually believe. Mm-hmm. But it just seems right because everyone else thinks it, but they don't really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just think the media is such a powerful vehicle in terms of conveying information to people. But like Amy said, like, it's become some form of indoctrination in the way that you never. I don't think there's such thing as like a non-bias. Like, I mean, there is, but everything has some kind of bias behind it, and that is changing the way that people think and perceive events. That instead of just seeing the bare facts of it, they see it from somebody else's point of view.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, like, a lot of the media is, I think, left wing, so it's left wing, right? Left wing. So it's going to go by those political views. It's going to go by those beliefs. So the people don't actually see the whole range of views. So a lot of it is hidden away. Like, my whole opinion on the Gaza situation, it was completely distorted because I wasn't educated enough about what happened other than what I was seeing from the media. So it shows some people what they want to believe, and then those who don't know enough about it from first-hand experiences or from their families, they just don't understand what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really agree with the girl who said that in the video that Israel's media isn't censored. Well, I don't think it's censored in the way that I think anyone's allowed to say whatever they want, but I do think that it's manipulated, because why would the Israeli government want a nation who doesn't agree with their actions with regards to war? Obviously it's going to be not manipulated, but censored in some way, so that the public think, like the girl said, it's easier for a government to control a public that are like-minded. So I think that the media might be aimed towards a certain opinion.
I think you're onto something. A recent thing in the Knesset was they're trying to do a bill to ban free newspapers, because there's this American billionaire who funds a free Israeli newspaper in Israel that supports all of Netanyahu's policies. So the government, the opposition in the Knesset were trying to ban that. So I think you're onto something, that there is clearly from that there is a lot of manoeuvring, that there is manipulation in the media. And yeah, of course, I think there is also part of Israel that doesn't allow certain other opinions about the state. There is unfortunately a lot of growing racism in Israel as well, which isn't necessarily fully reflected in the media, but maybe it is in some of the reporting, what's reported and what isn't. Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with what the media is doing, but I do, in the sense that because it is so fragile right now, I do think it does have to be censored. Like, it does, as in for the government to remain stable, like, it does have to be controlled for more people to support them. Like, I don't agree with that, but I think that's best for the government. That's how it's going to help the government. And to be honest, the government do only have their own interests at heart, like, mainly. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I read an article a couple of days ago about the double standards in the world and how the media portrays, like, for example, say, the killing of one of the leading people in ISIS. They're like, yeah, that's great, it's fantastic, but when somebody from Hamas is killed, they're like, this is an abomination, this is not okay, like, why are you going around killing all these people? The double standards in the world, I think, are due to the media and their views on certain situations, and I think that's what creates a lot of the controversies, because people think they know everything that's going on with absolutely everything, but they don't actually, they only know what's being said in the media. They don't actually know what's going on in the real world. If that makes sense.
Yeah, is media a fair reflection of reality? Is it a reflection of reality, or is it completely contrived?
I think it's completely dependent on the circumstances. I think in some situations, like sporting, like the way like sporting's presented and the actual sporting results and all that's fine, but then when it comes into politics, as Nikki said, the press is very left wing, and so everything is going to be altered to fit a specific like framework. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I totally agree, but I don't think everything's altered. I think it depends on the situation and the scenario. I think on some occasions things are slightly altered to sway towards what the media want people to think, but I think it's not totally made up, as in a lot of it is genuine.
Do you think we're addicted to news and media?
100%.
So then, what does that mean for what is real, what isn't, what we perceive?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is quite easy for people who actually run the press and in charge of the media to manipulate things, because we're kind of the slaves to it, because whatever they say we're kind of going to lap up, because they already know that we're addicted to it, and they already know that the public are open to kind of accepting whatever they tell them. You know, there's like all different types. There's like gossip magazines, there's the news, like on TV, all different stuff that we kind of take in and kind of accept to be true. And so they are obviously going to push it to see as far as they can go, to the left or to the right, whatever suits them, to see until we actually stand up and say, no, that's wrong, because at the moment people just kind of accept what they're told because of their addiction to...
How do you feel as Jews, where there's this other sort of more shadowy school of thought where they think the media's controlled and the Jews have something to do with it? How do you feel about that? Have you been sensing that in some of the press? That's even in the left-wing press, you know?
Dangerous, not just for that reason, but because it almost feels like the media has more control than the actual sort of like government, to an extent, obviously not entirely, but it's got such a huge control that it has the power to govern the way people think and therefore the way people act. And if that is, I mean, I didn't really know about that, but if that is the way that the media is sort of pushing things, then that is going to have a massive effect on how people, even if it's subconsciously, the way that people act to others is like, that's dangerous.
There's a very rigid narrative now with Israel and the Palestinians and the peace process. It's very much seen through a very fixed perspective. Do you think?
I was going to comment on before when you said how some people perceive the media to be controlled by the Jews. I'd say that if it was, then it'd be far less anti-Semitic as media, and I'd say a lot of Jews feel that the media is biased to the Palestinians, like they show a lot of Palestinian deaths. I mean, a lot, it's been accused, the BBC, CNN, things like that. So I'd say if Jews were controlling it, which I think is, I'd say that could contribute to anti-Semitism as a basis of why people would be anti-Semitic, because Jews are controlling our lives and what we think. But I'd say if they actually were, then the media would be a lot different to how it is.